Hello everyone, this is Katrin Parker, aka Jon Snow 420 from Twitter. As you can see, I'm in costume as the Countess from American Horror Story Hotel today because I am finding it very hard to get motivated to read this book, so I just do something. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, you may have noticed that my top has changed because if I accidentally flash you on YouTube, it's all over. Like, my sister will ban me from the internet somehow. Anyway, this fascinator I bought at a garage sale when my friend was leaving to live in Australia, and she is now a Doctor of Vampire Studies. So yeah, she majored in English, which people say goes nowhere, but guess what? She's met, wait, I don't know if she's met or met, but she's had certainly significant interactions with Anne Rice, Laurel K. Hamilton, that lady, Nalini Singh, my mum used to read her, and so on. I was going to be the Countess for Halloween, but I knew my cousin Judy would do it way better, which she did, so I didn't even bother. Right, so what's happened to Beau and Edith? I really wish Beau had met the Countess instead. He would be dead by now. Oh, if you want to get a better look at my makeup. I tried to lighten my eyebrows. I've used a combo of white eyeliner and just, concealer. So they are still definitely there, but they're lighter. I think if I had some white or blonde mascara, that would probably do the trick. Also got lots of sparkly rings on. Because believe it or not, I do not have a diamond encrusted glove that I use to kill people with. Not yet. Christmas is coming, so. You are sitting on Arthur, the bear chair. It was very useful. And, right, Beau has just gotten home, and Bonnie Black is there, who's Jacob's mother in this, and Jacob is, of course, Julie. She's seen him with Edith, and she knows what the Cullens are. I actually really like this look. I think if it were feasible, I would totally do my hair like this. How good is it? It would destroy me. I mean, like, it would all snap off. It would just be gone. Anyway. Chapter 12. Balancing. Bonnie, Charlie called as soon as he got out of his car. What a suck up. Sorry, yesterday I got hardly any sleep, basically no sleep, and then I went to bed and slept for 14 hours, so I'm just as zonked out as I would have been, with far less sleep. I don't know why it does that. Oh, and instead of my normal can of Diet Coke, I've put some iced tea in the fancy glasses, which, if I had fancy, whiskey drinking style glasses, of course I would have put it in those, but these are my only fancy glasses. This veil is making me sneeze. I turned toward the house, motioning for Jules to follow. As I ducked under the porch, I heard Charlie greeting her loudly behind me. "I'm going to pretend I didn't see you behind the wheel, young lady." "We get permits early on the res," Jules said while I unlocked the door and flicked on the porch light. Charlie laughed. "Sure you do. I have to get around somehow. I recognised Bonnie's deep voice easily, despite the years. The sound of it made me feel suddenly younger. Just a child. You are a child, Beaufort. You're a child, and you've been targeted by a predatory 100-year-old vampire. It's just wrong. I went inside, leaving the door open behind me and turning on lights before I hung up my jacket. Then I stood in the door, watching anxiously as Charlie and Jules helped Bonnie out of the car and into her wheelchair. I backed out of the way as the three of them hurried in, shaking off the rain. "This is a surprise," Charlie was saying. "It's been too long," Bonnie answered. "I hope it's not a bad time." "Yeah, she just saw your boy with a vampire." Her dark eyes flashed up to me again, their expression unreadable. "No, it's great. I hope you can stay for the game. The sports game that's never fully identified." Jules grinned. "I think that's the plan. Our TV broke last week." Bonnie made a face at her daughter. "And of course, Jules was eager to see Beau again," she said. Jules returned the scowl. "Oh, Bonnie, ouch. So embarrassing." You're actually propped up quite a bit higher at the moment because you are in Arthur the Bear chair. So I'm just sort of trying to get used to all of this. Plus, I keep getting distracted by how good my makeup looks. I know, right? I really want this. Am I going to destroy my lovely red curls to attain this beautiful straight white perfection? No, but I am going to be extremely tempted. Okay, sorry for the sniffling. I've taken some Codral. Probably not safe to take any more just now. "Are you hungry?" I asked, turning toward the kitchen. Bonnie's searching gaze made me uncomfortable. "No, we ate just before we came," Jules answered. She says no instead of nah, I guess because I don't know. "How about you, Charlie?" I called over my shoulder as I escaped around the corner. I like to imagine he's escaping like on his hands and knees. He's just scuttling out of there, meowing. "Sure," he replied, his voice moving in the direction of the front room and the TV. I could hear Bonnie's chair follow. The grilled cheese sandwiches were in the frying pan, and I was slicing up a tomato when I sensed someone behind me. "What is he doing with the tomato? If you're making a cheese and tomato toasty, don't you put it in before you cook them?" Like what you call a grilled cheese sandwich, I think, is you put cheese between bread and then you fry it in a frying pan in oil or butter. What we do is put cheese between bread and put it in a panini press. We used to have sandwich makers. We used to have really good sandwich makers, actually, made of cast iron that were heavy enough to, go really tight, so you could put fillings inside them like spaghetti, what is tin spaghetti, or sweet corn, what you call cream corn, my favourite, or an egg, and the edges would all pinch together because they were buttered and the cast iron was so heavy it would pinch them together really good. And I really, really miss that. The only ones I've seen to buy are made of cheap plastic, and they just don't seal the edges properly, so you pick it up, it falls in half, it's full of spaghetti, it's just pointless. Sorry for the derail. I've been, as you know if you follow my Twitter feed, I've been up and down like a horse draws. Or like my uncle's jeans, which is actually a much less demeaning thing to say about sex workers, and a much more demeaning thing to say about my uncle, but to be fair, he deserves it. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know which uncle I'm talking about. What am I talking about? God. I have like had no appetite. I've been eating up and goes, which are like a fortified milk breakfast thing, and Maltesers for about 2 days. So not for a reason, just sometimes things don't work. Alright, I'm sorry. Back to the grilled cheese. The grilled cheese sandwiches were in the frying pan and I was slicing up a tomato when I sensed someone behind me. So, how are things? Jules asked. Pretty good, I smiled. Her enthusiasm was hard to resist. How about you? Did you finish your car? No, she frowned. I still need parts. We borrowed that one. She pointed with her thumb in the direction of the front yard. Sorry, I haven't seen any... What was it you were looking for? Master cylinder, she grinned. Something wrong with the truck? She added suddenly. No. Oh, I just wondered because you weren't driving it. I stared down at the pan, pulling up an edge of a sandwich to check on the bottom side. I got a ride with a friend. Vampire friend. Nice ride, Jules's voice was admiring. I didn't recognize the driver, though. I thought I knew most of the kids around town. I nodded non-committally, keeping my eyes down as I flipped sandwiches. My mom seemed to know her from somewhere. Jules, could you hand me some plates? They're in the cupboard over the sink. Sure. She got the plates in silence. I hoped she would let it drop now, so that we could describe every single step of making these grilled cheese sandwiches, and not anything interesting like e.g. vampires or werewolves, or vampires and werewolves fighting, which is amazing and is definitely not going to happen in this shitty, stupid book. It almost makes me wish she'd do New Moon. But I don't. She got the plates in silence. I hope she'd let it drop now. So who was it? She added. She asked, setting 2 plates on the counter next to me. I sighed in defeat. Edith Cullen. To my surprise, she laughed. I glanced down at her. She looked a little embarrassed. Guess that explains it then, she said. I wondered why my mum was acting so strange. I faked an innocent expression. Oh, that's right. She doesn't like the Cullens. Superstitious old bat, Jules muttered under her breath. I thought, I was almost going to say brat. Calling someone an old brat is pretty good. You don't think she'd say anything to Charlie? I couldn't help asking, the words coming out in a low rush. Jules stared at me for a minute, and I couldn't read the expression in her dark eyes. I doubt it, she finally answered. I think Charlie chewed her up pretty good last time. Did he? Oh, wait, no, sorry. Sorry, I misinterpreted the idiom just then. They haven't spoken much since. Tonight is sort of a reunion, I think. I don't think she'd bring it up again. Oh, I said, trying to sound like it didn't matter much to me either way. I stayed in the front room after I carried the food out to Charlie, pretending to watch the game while chatting absently with Jules. Mostly I was listening to the adults' conversation, watching for any sign that Bonnie was about to rat me out, trying to think of ways to stop her if she started. It was a long night. I had a lot of homework that was going undone, but I was afraid to leave Bonnie alone with Charlie. Finally, the game ended. Are you and your friends coming back to the beach soon? Jules asked as she pushed her mother over the lip of the threshold. I'm not sure, I hedged. That was fun, Charlie, Bonnie said. Come up for the next game, Charlie encouraged. Sure, Bonnie said. We'll be here. Have a good night. Her eyes shifted to mine, her smile disappeared. You take care, Bo, she added seriously. Yeah, be careful. We're like a tooth condom. Which I guess is a mouth guard. Unsexy. Probably. For most people. Thanks, I muttered, looking away. I headed for the stairs while Charlie waved from the doorway. Wait, Bo, he said. I cringed. Had Bonnie gotten something in before I joined them in the living room? Everything is sounding very, very saucy to me right now. And I don't know if it's the 2 days of having quite a strange diet, or the fact that I have been looking for something interesting in this book for so long and my brain's just given up. It's like pareidolia. It's that thing where you see faces and things that don't have faces, except I've got it for anything interesting in this book, because there is nothing interesting. Blah de blah, but Charlie was relaxed, still grinning from the unexpected visit. Ooh. I didn't get a chance to talk to you tonight. How was your day? Good. I hesitated with one foot on the first stair, trying to think of details I could safely share. My badminton team won all 4 games. Wow, I didn't know you could play badminton. Well, actually I can't, but my partner is really good, I admitted. Who is it? He asked with token interest. Michaela Newton. Oh yeah, you said you were friends with the Newton girl. He perked up. Nice family. He mused for a minute. She didn't want to go with you to the dance this weekend. Dad, I groaned. She's kind of dating my friend Jeremy. Besides, you know I can't dance. Oh yeah, he muttered. Then he smiled at me apologetically. So I guess it's good you'll be gone Saturday. I've made plans to go fishing with the guys from the station. The weather's supposed to be real warm, but if you wanted to put your trip off until someone could go with you, I'd stay home. I know I leave you here alone too much. Dad, you're doing a great job, I said, hoping my relief didn't show. I've never minded being alone. I'm too much like you. I grinned at him, and he smiled his crinkly-eyed smile. Charlie is trying so hard to bond with his son and to be there for him, and Bo is just acting like he's this annoying roommate who's taking too much interest in his personal life. He's such a dickhead. Sorry, I may be shifting around a lot because I have still got quite a sore back. These cups are so beautiful. I don't know where they came from. They were just amongst the things that we had in the cupboard, so... Peach flavoured, low calorie, Fuse brand iced tea. Not as good as Lipton. Sorry. But $1 cheaper. Loving this look. I'm loving the whole thing. I love the drama of the headpiece. I love the pearls. I love the insane makeup. If I'd come up with this originally, I would probably just wear this kind of thing all the time. But since it is an extremely recognizable character from a TV show, yeah, no. I slept better that night, too tired to dream again. When I woke to the pearl grey morning, I felt almost high. My mood was so optimistic. How the fuck would you know what it feels like to be high, Beaufort? Come on. Come on. The tense evening with Bonnie and Jules seemed harmless enough now. I decided to forget it completely. I caught myself whistling while I was yanking a comb through my hair. He yanks a lot of things. And later again as I hurtled down the stairs. Charlie noticed. You're cheerful this morning, he commented over breakfast. I shrugged. It's Friday. He's so boring. I hurried so I would be ready to go the second Charlie left. I had my bag packed, shoes on, teeth brushed, but even though I rushed to the door as soon as I was sure Charlie would be out of sight, Edith was faster. She was waiting, windows down, engine off. I don't know, I find this part creepy as well. Maybe people just shouldn't like each other that much. Maybe the fact that that makes me uncomfortable says something bad about me, not Edith or Bo or Stephanie Meyer. I don't know. I didn't hesitate this time as I climbed into the passenger seat. She flourished her dimples, and my chest did its mini heart attack thing. I couldn't imagine anything more beautiful, human, goddess, or angel. There was nothing about her that could be improved upon. "How did you sleep?" She asked. I wondered if she knew just how irresistible her voice was, if she made it that way on purpose. "Fine. How was your night?" "Pleasant." "Can I ask what you did?" "No," she grinned. "Today is still mine." They're taking turns asking each other questions, and for some reason Edith is interested in the answers. She wanted to know about people today, more about my mom, her hobbies, what we'd done in our free time together, and then the one grandmother I'd known, my few school friends, and then I was going red in patches when she asked about girls I'd dated. I was relieved that I'd never really dated anyone, so that particular conversation couldn't last long. She seemed surprised at my lack of romantic history. "He's like 16. "So you never met anyone you wanted?" she asked in a serious tone that made me wonder what she was thinking about. She was probably thinking, how come a boring scrub like you thinks he's too good for real people who can be interesting? How come that? Why that? I'm so tired. How can I be so tired after sleeping for so long? Not in Phoenix. You never met anyone you wanted in Phoenix. But, oh my god, I totally forgot to tell you guys. Yesterday I was hobbling around town, to be honest, with some sciatic pain, but whatever. I probably made it look really cool. And I saw a car drive by with Team Jasper written on it in the Twilight font. And it was like, that is so bizarre. I mean, I'm aware of the existence of Team Jasper because, like, it's kind of funny, and he's sort of more interesting than Edward or whatever, but to still have Team Jasper on your car after all this time, to have put it on in the first place, I don't know, it just seemed like it was just something beautiful that I saw briefly, and then it was gone. Anyway, sorry. There isn't even Jasper in this book. It's a girl called Jessamine instead that we really don't know anything about just yet. Blah de blah blah. Her lips pressed together in a thin line. We were in the cafeteria at this point. Wow, they were just in the car, now they're in the cafeteria. I'm so amazed that Bo didn't walk us through, shutting the door and everything. The day had sped by in the pattern that was rapidly becoming routine. Oh, thank Christ for that. You don't have to describe it every time. I took advantage of her brief pause to take a bite of my sandwich. Yeah, I spoke too soon about the descriptions. "I should have let you drive yourself today," she said suddenly. I swallowed. "Why?" "I'm leaving with Archie after lunch." "Oh," I blinked, disappointed. "That's okay. It's not that far of a walk." She frowned at me impatiently. "I'm not going to make you walk home. We'll go get your truck and leave it here for you." "I don't have my key with me," I sighed. I really don't mind walking. What I minded was losing my time with her. She shook her head. "Your truck will be here, and the key will be in the ignition. Unless you're afraid someone might steal it." She laughed at the thought. "Like a bitch. That car is something that Charlie bought for his son, and it was the best he could do on his police chief salary, and you're a bitch for laughing at it because your daddy is incredibly rich because he's like 400 years old. So, shut up," basically. Rich people, man. Okay, I agree. You want to let vampires into your house? Is that what you want to do, Beaufort? Really? I was pretty sure my key was in the pocket of a pair of jeans I wore Wednesday, under a pile of clothes in the laundry room. Even if she broke into my house, or whatever she was planning, she'd never find it. She seemed to feel the challenge in my consent. She smirked, overconfident. Rose, she's gonna go through your dirty laundry, or worse, send one of her siblings to do it. Weird, gross, weird, gross and weird. And what kind of idiot doesn't keep their keys with them all the time? Both. So where are you going? I asked as casually as I could manage. Hunting, she answered grimly. If we're going to be alone together tomorrow, I'm going to take whatever precautions I can. Her face was suddenly sad and pleading. You can always cancel, you know. She desperately wants to kill you. It's not romantic. I looked down, afraid of the persuasive power of her eyes. I would not let her talk me out of our day alone, no matter how real the danger might be. It doesn't matter, I repeated in my head. Then again, 16-year-olds make stupid choices all the time because it's kind of what they do. No, I whispered, glancing back at her face. I can't. Perhaps you're right, she murmured. Her eyes almost seemed to darken in colour as I watched. I don't know if he means they get blacker because she's getting hungrier, or if the pupils just dilate because she's so horny for Beau, for reasons that are utterly beyond me. I changed the subject. What time tomorrow? I asked, already depressed by the thought of her leaving now. It depends. It's a Saturday. Don't you want to sleep in? She offered. No, I answered too fast, and she grinned. Same time as usual then? I nodded. Where should I pick you up? I'll come to your place, also as usual. It doesn't help with the Charlie situation if an unexplained Volvo is left in the driveway. Every single time I read the word Volvo, I think vulva instead because of Arrested Development, so thank you, Arrested Development, for, you know, making this a little easier. Her smile was superior now. I wasn't intending to bring a car. What could she possibly be doing? How? She cut me off. Don't worry about it. I'll be there. No car. No chance that Charlie will see anything out of the ordinary. Her voice turned hard. And then if you don't come home, it'll be a complete mystery, won't it? Ooh. Nice. Guess so, I said, shrugging. Maybe I'll get on the news and everything. Wow, Beau is learning irony. That's so nice. He'd be like, oh no, it'd be great if you killed me. It would be awesome. Feels good to me, actually. Oh, Beaufort. She scowled at me and I ignored it, chewing another bite of my lunch. At least this isn't like the pizza incident. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few videos ago, I remember, we were talked through every single bite Beau took of a slice of pizza. And most of the swallows of those bites. And we were even told that he left the crust behind, or ate the crust or something. Something happened with the crust, and it was... And relax. Breathe in and away. When her face finally relaxed, though she still didn't look happy, I asked, what are you hunting tonight? Whatever we find in the park. We aren't going far. She stared at me, a little frustrated and a little amused by my casual reference to our unusual life. Why are you going with Archie? Didn't you say he was being annoying? She frowned. He's still the most supportive. And the rest of them? I asked hesitantly, not sure I really wanted to know. What are they? Her brow puckered, incredulous for the most part. I glanced toward them. They sat staring off in different directions, exactly the same as the first time I'd seen them. Only now there were just the four of them. Their perfect, bronze-haired sister was mine, for this hour at least. They don't like me, I guessed. That's not it, she disagreed, but her eyes were too innocent. They don't understand why I can't leave you alone. I frowned. Me either. She smiled. You're not like anyone I've ever known, Beau. You fascinate me. Part of me was sure she was making fun of me. The part that couldn't escape the fact that I was the most boring person I knew. I can't understand that, I said. Having the advantages I do, she said, touching one finger to her forehead. I have a better than average grasp of human nature. People are predictable. But you never do what I expect. You always take me by surprise. I looked away, my eyes hitting the default position, the back corner of the cafeteria where her family sat. Her words made me feel like a science experiment. I wanted to laugh at myself for expecting anything else. God, Bo is almost as tragic as me when it comes to believing that no one could actually like you. Almost. I'm still the king. That part is easy enough to explain. I felt her eyes on my face, but I couldn't look at her yet. I was sure she would see the self-contempt in my eyes. But there's more, she went on. It's not so easy to put into words. You want to bone him? You've put him in the bone zone? He's Donatello and you're Leonardo and you're Ninja Turtles and you're boning all the time. Sorry. Oh god. I'm so tired. How can I be this tired after 14 hours of sleep? Mystery. I was still staring absently at the Cullens while she spoke. Suddenly, Royal turned his head to look directly at me. Not to look, to glare with dark, cold eyes. I wanted to look away, but I was frozen by his overt antagonism until Edith broke off mid-sentence and made an angry noise under her breath, a kind of hiss. That's her. Royal turned his head, and I was relieved to be free. I looked back at Edith, my eyes wide. There was definitely dislike, I muttered. Her expression was pained. Sorry about that. He's just worried. You see, it's dangerous for more than just me after spending so much time with you publicly. She looked down. If this ends badly. She dropped her head into her hands, obviously in anguish. I wanted to comfort her somehow, to tell her that nothing bad would ever happen to her. Moron. But I didn't know the right words. Automatically, I reached out to place my hand lightly against her elbow. He's moving up from the hand to the elbow. He'll be touching her shoulder any minute now. She was wearing just a long-sleeve t-shirt, and the cold soaked through to my hand immediately. She didn't move, and as I sat there, I slowly realized that what she'd said should frighten me. Yeah. Duh. Bo. I waited for that fear to come, but all I could feel was an ache for her pain. She still hid her face in her hands. I tried to speak in a normal voice. And you have to leave now? So normal. So normal. Yes. She let her hands drop. I kept my hand against her forearm. She looked at the place where we were connected and sighed. Suddenly her mood shifted and she grinned. It's probably for the best. We still have 15 minutes of that wretched movie in biology. I don't think I could take any more. I jumped, yanking my hand back. Archie, taller than I thought, his hair just a shadow of dark stubble against his scalp, his eyes dark as ink, was suddenly standing behind Edith's shoulder. Edith greeted him without looking away from me. Archie? Edith, he answered, mimicking her tone with a mocking twist. His voice was a soft tenor, velvety like hers. Archie Bo Archie, she introduced us, a wry smile on her face. I like doing the faces. Hello, Bo. His eyes glittered like black diamonds, but his smile was friendly. It's nice to finally meet you. Just the lightest stress on the finally. Edith flashed a dark look at him. It was not hard for me to believe Archie was a vampire, standing 2 feet away from me, with dark, hungry eyes. I felt a bead of sweat roll down the back of my neck. Does that... He's mentioning his neck again. I think that means he's attracted to Archie in some way. Oh, Bella and Alice are the true love story of Twilight. Actually, Bella and her own powers are the true love story of Twilight. But, Bella and Alice come a close second. Hi Archie. Are you ready? He asked her. Her voice was cold. Nearly. I'll meet you at the car. He left without another word. The way he moved was so fluid, so sinuous, it made me think of dancers again, though it wasn't really that human. When I think of dancers, I think about that guy from the first Silent Hill movie, that dancer who played the, what do you call it, the monster with no arms. And how his audition was so creepy, the way he moved. He pulled his arms into his own t-shirt to pretend he had no arms, and he was all like, it was so creepy. So, yeah, that's how I'm picturing Archie walking, and that's pretty conspicuous. Like, not very careful of you guys. Sorry, I'm getting a wig hairs caught in my lashes. There we go. No. Yes. Probably fine. I swallowed. Should I say have fun, or is that the wrong sentiment? Have fun works as well as anything. She grinned. Have fun then. I tried to sound enthusiastic, but of course she wasn't fooled. I'll try. And you try to be safe, please. I sighed. Safe and Forks. What a challenge. Her jaw tightened. For you, it is a challenge. Promise. I promise to try to be safe, I recited. I was meaning to deal with the laundry, or is that too hazardous a task? I mean, I could fall in or something. Her eyes narrowed. Okay, I'll do my best. She stood, and I rose too. See you tomorrow, I sighed. She smiled a wistful smile. Seems like a long time to you, doesn't it? I nodded glumly. I'll be there in the morning, she promised. And then she walked to my side, touched the back of my hand lightly, and turned to walk away. I stared after her until she was gone. Ooh, she's just touching all over him now. Front of his hand, back of his hand, his face a second time. That's it, so far. But it's ramping up. I really did not want to go to class, and I thought about a little healthy ditching, but I decided it would be irresponsible. I mean, it's not nice to ditch your classes, but God, that was so boring, it just frustrates me, you know? I knew that if I disappeared now, Michaela and the others would assume I'd gone with Edith, and Edith was worried about the time we'd spent together publicly if things went wrong. I wasn't going to think about what that would mean, or how painful it might be. I just worked out the ways I could make things safer for her, which meant going to class. Oh great, you're trying to cover up your own murder in advance. That's nice. That's love. I felt certain, and I thought she did too, that tomorrow would change everything for us. She and I, if we were going to be together, we had to face this square on. We couldn't keep trying to balance on this precarious edge of almost together. We would fall to one side or the other, and it all depended on her. I was all in before I'd even consciously chosen, and I was committed to seeing this through, because there was nothing more terrifying to me, more painful, than the idea of never seeing her again. It didn't help my concentration so much that she wasn't next to me in biology. The tension and electricity were gone, but my mind was too wrapped around the idea of tomorrow to pay attention. In gym, Michaela seemed to have forgiven me. She said she hoped I had a good time in Seattle. I carefully explained that I'd cancelled the trip due to truck issues. She was suddenly sulky again. Why are you taking Edith to the dance? No. I told you I wasn't going. What are you doing then? I lied cheerfully. Laundry. And then I have to study for the trig test or I'm going to fail. She frowned. Is Edith helping you study? I could hear the quotation marks she put around the last word. Don't I wish, I said, smiling. She's so much smarter than I am, but she's gone away somewhere with her brother for the weekend. It was funny how much easier than usual the lies were coming. Maybe because I was lying for someone else, and not for myself. Michaela perked up. Oh, you could still come to the dance with us all. That would be cool. We'll all dance with you, she promised. The mental image of Jeremy's face made my tone sharper than necessary. I'm not going to the dance, Michaela, okay? Fine, she snapped. I was just offering. He wants to dance with Jeremy. That's what all this is about. When gym was finally over, I walked to the parking lot without enthusiasm. I wasn't looking forward to walking home in the rain, but I couldn't think of how she would have been able to get my truck. Then again, was anything impossible for her? Yeah, apparently leaving high school and going on with your life like a proper adult and also, not creeping on 16-year-old boys, that's probably impossible. And there it was, parked in the same spot where she'd parked the Volvo this morning. I shook my head, amazed, as I opened the door and found the key in the ignition, as promised. There was a piece of white paper folded on my seat. I got it and closed the door before I opened it. Well, that's fucking important. 2 words were written in her fancy calligraphy handwriting. Be safe. Some fancy calligraphy handwriting in the book itself. I'm still not excited. Still not interested. The sound of the truck roaring to life startled me, and I laughed at myself. Yes, we are all laughing with you. When I got home, the handle of the door was locked and the deadbolt unlocked, just as I had left it this morning. I don't know what that means. Does this door have 2 locks on it? That must be what it means. Yeah. I don't know. Inside, I went straight to the laundry room. It looked just the same as I'd left it too. I dug for my jeans, and after finding them, checked the pockets. Empty. Maybe I'd hung my key up after all, I thought, shaking my head. No, you didn't. Charlie was absent-minded at dinner, worried over something at work, I guessed, or maybe a basketball game, or maybe he was just really enjoying his lasagna. It was hard to tell with Charlie. Dad, I began, breaking into his reverie. What's that, Bo? I think you're right about Seattle. I think I'll wait until Jeremy or someone else can go with me. Oh, he said, surprised. Oh, okay. So you want me to stay home? Oh, he thought for a minute that Bo actually wanted to spend a Saturday with his dad. Poor Charlie. No, Dad, don't change your plans. I've got 100 things to do. Homework, laundry, I need to go to the library and the grocery store. I'll be in and out all day. You go and have fun. Are you sure? Absolutely, Dad. Besides, the freezer's getting dangerously low on fish. We're down to a 2, maybe 3 years supply. He smiled. You're sure easy to live with, Bo. I could say the same thing about you, I said, laughing. The sound of my laughter was off, but he didn't seem to notice. I felt so guilty for deceiving him that I almost took Edith's advice and told him where I would be. Almost. Oh, he wants to get murdered so badly. I mean, I know we all toy with the idea of what it would be like to get murdered, but Bo's pretty keen. As I worked on the mindless chore of folding laundry, I wondered if, with this lie, I was choosing Edith over my own father. After all, I was protecting her and leaving him to face exactly what, I wasn't sure. Would I just vanish? Would the police find some piece of me? I I knew I wasn't able to process exactly how devastating that would be for him, that losing a child, even one he hadn't seen much of for the last decade, was a bigger tragedy than I was able to understand. Jesus Christ. I was seriously wondering if he is going to be so murdered that they find like a bit, like his hand or his foot or something. Okay, maybe he is a little bit interesting because he's got severe problems. Not only is he incapable of forming normal social bonds with his peers, which, okay, I'm not great at either, or of relating to either of his parents with any kind of affection, he is extremely nonchalant about the idea that his girlfriend might murder him. I don't know, I think this kid really needs help. Proper help, not vampire help. Anyway. But if I told him I would be with Edith, if I implicated her in whatever followed, how did that help Charlie? Would it make the loss more bearable if he had someone to blame? Or would it just put him in more danger? I remembered how Royal had glared at me today. I remembered Archie's glittering black eyes, Eleanor's arms like long lines of steel, and Jessamine, who, for some reason I couldn't define, was the most frightening of them all. Did I really want my father to know something that would make them feel threatened? So really, the only thing that could help Charlie at all would be if I taped a note to the door tomorrow that read, "I changed my mind," and then got in my truck and drove to Seattle after all. I knew Edith wouldn't be angry, that a part of her was hoping for exactly that. But I also knew that I wasn't going to write that note. I couldn't even imagine doing it. When she came, I would be waiting. So I guess I was choosing her over everything. And though I knew I should feel bad, wrong, guilty, sorry, I didn't. Maybe because it didn't feel like a choice at all. But all of this was only if things went badly, and I was nearly 90% sure they wouldn't. Part of it was that I still couldn't make myself be afraid of Edith, even when I tried to picture her as the sharp-fanged Edith from my nightmare. I had her note in my back pocket, and I pulled it out and read it again and again. She wanted me to be safe. She dedicated a lot of personal effort lately to ensuring my survival. Wasn't that who she was? When all the safeties were off, wouldn't that part of her win? She straight up told you no on a number of occasions. But, okay. The laundry wasn't the best job for keeping my mind busy. As much as I tried to focus on the Edith I knew, the one I loved, I couldn't help picturing what ending badly might look like, might feel like. I'd seen enough horror flicks to have some preconceived notions, and it didn't look like the very worst way to go. Most of the victims just seemed sort of limp and out of it while they were drained. But then I remembered what Edith had said about bears, and I guessed that the realities of vampire attacks were not much like the Hollywood version. But it was Edith. This kid needs help. He is disturbed. As a former disturbed teen, I would certainly want Bo to be talking through these feelings with somebody who doesn't want to murder him. You know. I was relieved when it was late enough to be acceptable for bedtime. I knew I would never get to sleep with all this crazy in my head, so I did something I'd never done before. I forgot this part from Normal Twilight. I totally forgot. Oh my god, it's the best part. I can't remember if they put it in the movie or not, but it's incredible. I deliberately took unnecessary cold medicine. The kind that knocked me out for a good 8 hours. I mean, that's so cute. Oh. When I was 17, I deliberately took a teaspoonful of nutmeg because I heard it got you high. I ended up just having a terrible, feverish, sweaty night where I was just having an awake nightmare the whole time. But, you know, unnecessary cold medicine is, wow, Edith's driving this kid to drug use. Codral use. I'm sorry, I just love it so much and I'd forgotten all about it. I'm just taking a moment to treasure it. I knew it was not the most responsible choice, but tomorrow would be complicated enough without me being loopy from sleep deprivation on top of everything else. While I waited for the drugs to kick in, I listened to Phil's CD again. The fact she never names Phil's CD is really annoying. It's just, ugh. The familiar screaming was oddly comforting, and somewhere in the middle of it, I drifted off. I woke early, having slept soundly and dreamlessly thanks to the drug abuse. Though I was well rested, I was on edge and jittery, now and then almost panicked. Well, that's drug abuse for you, Bo. Just say no. I showered and threw clothes on, dressing in layers out of habit, though Edith had promised sun today. I checked out the window. Charlie was already gone. A thin layer of clouds, white and cottony, covered the sky in a temporary-looking way. I ate without tasting the food, rushing to clean up when I was done. I'd just finished brushing my teeth when a quiet knock had me vaulting my way down the stairs. If he's as clumsy as he claims, why... how can he vault down the stairs without, some kind of hilarious injury? Don't care. Peach iced tea. The only downside to drinking out of a pretty glass instead of straight out of the bottle is that you have to wash the glass. And the dishes again. Pretty though, isn't it? It's got little grapes on it. Dum dum dum. My hands were suddenly too big for the simple deadbolt, and it took me a second, but finally I threw the door open, and there she was. I took a deep breath. All the nerves faded to nothing, and I was totally calm. She wasn't smiling at first. Her face was serious, even wary. But then she looked me over and her expression lightened. She laughed. "Good morning," she chuckled. "What's wrong?" I glanced down to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything important, like shoes or pants. Good checking, Bo. Good checking. "We match." She laughed again. She had on a light tan sweater with a scoop neck, a white t-shirt on underneath, and jeans. Sounds really ugly. How do those necklines even work? My sweater was the exact same shade, though that and my white tee both had crew necks. My jeans were the same colour blue too, only she looked like a runway model, and I knew that I did not. Oh my god, could you be wearing anything more boring? I mean, Bo, fine. He's a boring person. Don't hide your light under a bushel, Edith. You're a vampire. I'm not even a vampire, and I dress more like a vampire than you do, so... I mean, at other times. Not specifically today when I'm actually dressed in costume as a particular vampire. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Am I going to fall asleep in the middle of this chapter? Nope. We've only got about 5 more pages. So, if you will just bear with me for a second, I'm going to move around a bit. Because my back is legit killing me. And I could not go in to get any more cold medicine. cold medicine, back medicine. Because I woke up at 4:20 today, which was, you know, hilarious, but not very helpful in terms of getting to the pharmacy. Ow. Ow. I have a bad back. Wish I was a vampire. That would probably make getting to the pharmacy even harder. Try to find a good place for Arthur, but also allows my leg and my back to feel okay. How's that? Yeah, probably fine. Oh god, they're wearing matching clothes. That's so tragic. I mean, if you're wearing a jumper and jeans, you know, you are eventually gonna be wearing the same colours, but I don't know, I just find it... Everything about this relationship is very annoying to me. That's the shortcut of this whole book. I locked the door behind me while she walked to the truck. She waited by the passenger door with a martyred expression that was easy to understand. You agreed to this, I reminded her as I unlocked her door and opened it. She gave me a dark look as she climbed past me. I got on my side and tried not to cringe as I revved the engine very loudly to life. Where to? I asked. Put your seatbelt on. I'm nervous already. I rolled my eyes but did what she asked. Where to? I repeated. Take the 101 north. Oh yeah, it's like a road. Okay. It was surprisingly difficult to concentrate on the road while feeling her eyes on my face. I compensated by driving more carefully than usual through the still sleeping town. Were you planning to make it out of Forks before nightfall? This truck is old enough to be the Volvo's grandfather. Have a little respect. We were soon out of the town limits, despite her pessimism. Thick underbrush and dense forest replaced the lawns and houses. Turn right in the 110, she instructed just as I was about to ask. I obeyed silently. Now we drive till the pavement ends. I could hear a smile in her voice, but I was too afraid of driving off the road and proving her right to look over and be sure. And what's there at the pavement's end? I wondered. A trail? We're hiking? Is that a problem? Like, come on, bro, you can walk. No. I tried to make the lie sound confident. But if she thought my truck was slow... Don't worry, it's only 5 miles or so and we're in no hurry. 5 miles. I didn't answer so she wouldn't hear the panic in my voice. How far had I hiked last Saturday? A mile? And how many times did I manage to trip in that distance? This was going to be humiliating. We drove in silence for a while. I was imagining what her expression would look like the 20th time my face planted. Probably a lot like mine. Most of the time when I read your stupid idiot thoughts. I'm going to write a special alternate ending where Bo gets murdered and eaten by werewolves. Maybe. No. What are you thinking? She asked impatiently after a few minutes. Geez, thought police. I lied again. Just wondering where we're going. It's a place I like to go when the weather is nice. We both glanced out the windows at the thinning clouds. Charlie said it would be warm today. And did you tell Charlie what you would be up to? She asked. Nope. But you probably said something to Jeremy about me driving you to Seattle, she said thoughtfully. No, I didn't. No one knows you're with me. Angrily now. That depends. I assume you've told Archie? That's very helpful, Bo, she snapped. I pretended I didn't hear that. Is it the weather? Seasonal affective disorder? Has Forks made you so depressed you're actually suicidal? You said it might cause problems for you, us being together publicly, I explained. So you're worried about the trouble it might cause me if you don't come home? Her voice was a mix of ice and acid. I nodded, keeping my eyes on the road. She muttered something under her breath, words flowing so quickly that I couldn't understand them. It was probably, fuck's sake, I'm in love with a fucking idiot. Or a murder fetishist. Actually, that'd be quite good for a vampire. Oh, that's sort of a one-time only thing. It was silent for the rest of the drive. I could feel the waves of fury and disapproval rolling off her, and I couldn't think of the right way to apologize when I wasn't sorry. Sorry, not sorry is the accepted way. The road ended at a small wooden marker. I could see the thin foot trail stretching away into the forest. I parked on the narrow shoulder and stepped out, not sure what to do because she was angry and I didn't have driving as an excuse not to look at her anymore. It was warm now, warmer than it had been in Forks since the day I'd arrived, almost muggy under the thin clouds. I yanked off my sweater and tossed it into the cab, glad I'd worn the t-shirt, especially with 5 miles of hiking ahead of me. Are we going to do all 5 miles? Maybe. I heard her door slam and looked over to see that she'd removed her sweater too. Oh god, one of us is going to have to go home and change. And twisted her hair into another messy bun. All that she had on was a thin tank top. You said she had a t-shirt on. I guess she took her sweater and her t-shirt off. Okay, so they don't have to go home and change. That's great. She was facing away from me, staring into the forest, and I could see the delicate shapes of her shoulder blades, almost like furled wings under her pale skin. Her arms were so thin, it was hard to believe they contained the strength that I knew was in them. Yeah, I get it, Eva's skinny. Bitch. This way, she said, glancing over her shoulder at me, still annoyed. She started walking into the dark forest directly to the east of the truck. The trail? I asked, trying to hide the panic in my voice as I hurried around the front of the truck to catch up with her. I said there was a trail at the end of the road, not that we were taking it. No trail. Really. I won't let you get lost. She turned then, with a mocking half-smile, and I couldn't breathe. Yeah, she won't let you get lost. She'll let you get murdered and hidden in the woods. I've never seen so much of her skin. Her pale arms, her slim shoulders, the fragile-looking twigs of her collarbones, the vulnerable hollows above them, the swan-like column of her neck, the gentle swell of her breasts. Don't stare, don't stare. And the ribs I could nearly count under the thin cotton. Okay. A little too thin. There, Edith. Sorry, not to be body shaming or anything, but that's... She's described as sort of, like, dangerously underweight, I think. She was too perfect, I realized with a crushing wave of despair. There was no way this goddess could ever belong with me. She stared at me, shocked by my tortured expression. Do you want to go home? She asked quietly, a different pain than mine saturating her voice. No. I walked forward till I was close beside her, anxious not to waste 1 second of the obviously numbered hours I had with her. What's wrong? She asked, her voice still soft. I'm not a fast hiker, I answered dully. You'll have to be very patient. I can be patient if I make a great effort. She smiled, holding my gaze, trying to pull me out of my suddenly glum mood. I tried to smile back, but I could feel that the smile was less than convincing. She searched my face. I'll take you home, she promised, but I couldn't tell if the promise was unconditional or restricted to an immediate departure. Obviously, she thought it was fear of my impending demise that upset me, and I was glad that I was the one person whose mind she couldn't hear. Because all my thoughts were stupid. So stupid. If you want me to hack 5 miles through the jungle before sundown, you better start leading the way, I said bitterly. Her eyebrows pulled down as she tried to understand my tone and expression. She gave up after a moment and led the way into the forest. It wasn't as hard as I'd been afraid it would be. The way was mostly flat, and she seemed content to go at my pace. Twice I tripped over roots, but each time her hand shot out and steadied my elbow before I could fall. Oh, she's touching his elbow now. When she touched me, my heart thudded and stuttered like usual. I saw her expression the second time that happened, and I was suddenly sure she could hear it. Yeah, of course she can hear it. She's a vampire. I tried to keep from looking at her. Every time I did, her beauty filled me with the same sadness. Mostly we walked in silence. Occasionally she would ask a random question that she hadn't gotten to in the last 2 days of interrogation. She asked about birthdays, grade school teachers, childhood pets, and I had to admit that after killing 3 fish in a row, I'd given up on the practice. She laughed at that, louder than usual, the bell-like echoes bouncing back to me from the trees. What Bo doesn't mention is that he killed them on purpose to see if he could feel anything. He couldn't. Probably. I'm just assuming. The hike took me most of the morning, but she never seemed impatient. The forest spread out around us in a labyrinth of identical trees, and I started to get nervous that we wouldn't be able to find our way out again. She was perfectly at ease in the green maze, never showing any doubt about our direction. Speaking of directions, congratulations to One Direction, whose album has come out today. I know that from the trending topics on Twitter. After several hours, the green light that filtered down through the canopy brightened into yellow. The day had turned sunny, just as promised. For the first time since we'd started, I felt excitement again. And I'm feeling back pain, but it's all good. Are we there yet? I asked. She smiled at the change in my mood. Nearly. Do you see the clearer light ahead? I stared into the thick forest. Should I? Maybe it is a bit soon for your eyes. Time to visit the optometrist, I sighed, and she grinned. She's talking about vampire eyes. I can't tell when Bo knows that people are joking. I don't know if he ever does. And then after another 100 yards, I could definitely see a brighter spot in the trees ahead, a glow that was yellow-white instead of yellow-green. I picked up the pace, and she let me lead now, following noiselessly. Oh my god, you guys know where we're going. We're going to Edward and Bella's Meadow of Romance. Oh, so nice. It was really nice the other week on The Walking Dead when Morgan found their Meadow of Romance. Bit weird. Bit weird to know The Walking Dead and Twilight are in the same universe, but I'd had my suspicions for some time. I reached the edge of the pool of light and stepped through the last fringe of ferns into the most beautiful place I had ever seen. The meadow was small, perfectly round, and filled with wildflowers, violet, yellow, and white. Somewhere nearby I could hear the liquid rush of a stream. The sun was directly overhead, filling the circle with a haze of buttery sunshine. I walked slowly forward through the soft grass, swaying flowers, and warm, gilded air. Sorry about the slurring, it's the lack of sleep, reading too fast, the unnecessary cold medicine. I actually do have a cold though. But what if I didn't? This ring I'm wearing, this one right here, is a, one of those cheapy costume jewelry shops, replica of Bella's engagement ring from Twilight. But I just like it as a ring. It's nice. It sparkles. It's an oval. This other one, yeah, it's alright. It's alright too. It's got a matching bracelet. I don't wear it very often because I don't know. I don't like it. It feels like Don't know, just don't like it. Oh yes, the meadow. After that first minute of awe, I turned, wanting to share this with her, but she wasn't behind me where I thought she'd be. I spun around, searching for her, suddenly anxious. Finally I found her, still under the dense shade of the canopy at the edge of the hollow, watching me with cautious eyes, and I remembered why we were here. The mystery of Edith and the sun, which she'd promised to solve for me today. Wow, if he still likes you after this shitty reveal. I mean, it's ridiculous though. This thing of vampires sparkling in the sunlight, it's just one of the more insane additions to the vampire mythos, you know. Interesting, but definitely, ow, definitely not quite usual. The fact it's become so well known, and I don't know, it's just sort of fantastic. Oh god, sorry, I have to move around again. Sorry. Do not get sciatica. It is my back that's hurting, but it's because the sciatica is making me walk funny or something. I'm sure it's the same thing. Anyway. I love this hair. I mean, the wig itself is very itchy and horrible, but I love the look of it. Anyway, sorry, we're in the meadow. Beautiful, beautiful twilight meadow. Oh, god, sorry guys. Is that good? Sort of. I took a step back, my hands stretched out toward her. Her eyes were wary, reluctant. Oddly, it reminded me of stage fright. I smiled encouragingly and started walking back to her. She held up a warning hand and I stopped, rocking back onto my heels. Edith took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and then stepped out into the bright glare of the midday sun. Oh my god, that's the end of the chapter. Holy macaroni. Oh, ow. Well, I am... wow, am I going to read another one straight away? I might. I actually might, because I have so much makeup on. It seems like kind of a waste to only do an hour's worth. But thank you for joining me for chapter 12 of Twilight, Life and Death. And thank you for enjoying it. Bye. Oh, happy Friday the 13th, by the way. That's right, it is. Bye.